What up, YouTube? Welcome to part 2 of the robot animatronic drummer project. And today I'm going to go and focus on creating a test rig to test out actuators. And in doing so, I'll go and try to explain how the two different types of actuators and the valves and the pneumatic setup work for these figures, in case you don't have any knowledge on how pneumatic animatronics work. And what I got here, I've had this for a little bit. I was gonna use it for another project. I got it off of eBay surplus, just little three valve manifold, but ended up not using it because I ended up doing this project instead. But I'm gonna go and use it to set it up to test actuators out. You know, the manifold that came with the animatronic has 17 valves, so to hook up just one actuator you would have to plug up a lot of fittings, and it would just be a big mess. So this is a lot simpler manifold to plug up that I could set up to only have like one valve working to test out actuators. Now, the figure didn't come with any hoses. All the hoses were cut. And the figure uses 3 types of hoses, and I'm hoping to get away with only using 2 types of hoses. So I pulled these off the actuators, and I measured this hose. This hose measured 1/4 inch outside diameter and 1/8 inside diameter. And this hose, when I measured it, measured 1/8 outside diameter and 1/16 inside diameter. Now, the figure uses all Barb Fittings, which, let me swing on over here, down to the manifold here, and show you what a Barb Fitting is. So, as you can see, this is a Barb Fitting. A Barb Fitting relies on the inside diameter of the tubing to make a catch there. It's just friction fitted, and you can just pop these hoses off, although it is a pretty tight fit. And while I'm here, I'll show you this hard plastic tube is the 3rd type of hosing that it uses, and I think it's a 1/4 inch inside diameter hard tubing, and it uses a different Barb fitting. So if I don't buy this tube, which I'm not planning on buying this tube, I would have to change out these fittings. But everything, all this old stuff, is all relying on the inside diameter to make fit. Now that's all 1980s stuff. Now I don't think they had one-touch fittings in 1980s. I think that came along later. But nowadays, almost everything uses these. Some people call them one-touch. Some people call them push to connect. But it uses these fittings. And these fittings rely on the outside diameter. So as you can tell, I'm already starting to have a little problem of trying to find hoses, because I'm going to be using new stuff that uses outside diameter while the old stuff uses inside diameter. So for this, for the smaller hoses, I had no problems. I went on Amazon. Amazon has turned out to be a great pneumatic supply company, and free shipping if you're a Prime member. And I was able to buy 100 feet of 1/8 OD, 1/16 ID tubing. And I bought 2 colors to 100 feet. And later on in the video, you'll learn why I bought 2 colors. Unfortunately, though, the other size tubing, 1/4 inch OD and 1/8 ID inside diameter, I was unable to get off of Amazon. Now, when I was Google searching it, I found other places were selling it, but the problem is Amazon is just so much cheaper because you don't have to pay for shipping, and they're just cheaper in general, that I wasn't willing to, I didn't want to get real expensive stuff. But what Amazon did have is this. This is a 1/4 inch OD, so it'll work fine on the one-touch fittings, but it's 5/32 of an inch ID. So the inside diameter is 1/32 larger than the original tubing. So here's the original tubing side by side. I don't know how well the focus is, but as you can see, the original tubing has a smaller diameter. So you can see what the problem is, because the barb fittings on the figure are relying on the inside diameter. And I assume that 1/32 of an inch, who cares? That should be it shouldn't be that much of a difference. And then when the tubing came in, I looked at it and was like, wow, it's real noticeable of a difference. But I already test fitted on a barb fitting, and it seemed to fit snugly on a barb fitting. I don't think it's going to fly off. But you never know till you pressure test it. And that's something I'll learn today once I get this whole manifold set up. So yeah, so right now what I'm going to do, first thing I got to do with this manifold is I got to plug up the fittings that I'm not going to use. It already has exhaust mufflers on the exhaust, so I don't have to worry about that. It has plugs on the other side of the exhaust, but I got to plug up the pressure. The top one's your pressure, but then I had to find a way to connect the pressure to my air compressor, because this won't do. So this is where it gets kind of complicated. I went to Harbor Freight because Harbor Freight has a lot of pneumatic stuff. Unfortunately, Harbor Freight only carries 1/4 inch NPT fittings. NPT is National Pipe Standard, National Pipe Thread. And this manifold right here is 1/8 NPT fittings. But luckily, off of Amazon, like I said, Amazon had a great selection of pneumatic stuff. I got these plugs, which are 1/8 NPT plug. And let me see if I can find it in here. I got this quick disconnect, which my air compressor uses, which is 1/4 inch quick disconnect with a 1/8 inch NPT pipe fitting. So first thing I want to do is plug up the unused ports, and I'm going to put on this barb fitting. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I just plugged up these two, the pressure, and I put this quick disconnect on. So the next thing I need to figure out is I need to figure out how to wire the 24 volts up to this D connector. So off of eBay I got one of these breakouts that I can just plug in like that. Okay, so what I did was I have this 24 volt power supply because these are 24 volt valves, and I just wired up 24 volts on a switch to the first valve, so that way I can test it. And I want to test it on this arm out right here because it's, you know, easy to get to, and it uses the uses the 1/8 inch barb, which we're going to see if 5/32 tubing will work. So here I got some tubing. I don't want to waste too much of it because I will be needing a whole bunch of tubing. So we'll say that much. And I got a hose cutter here, which allows you to make a straight cut. You can cut it with a razor blade, but a hose cutter, you get a nice straight cut without crushing it. So barb fitting, it just pushes on. It pushes on nice and easy, but it seems like it has quite a force to pull it off. So I don't think we're going to have any problem, but time will tell. So right now I'm going to hook this hose up to the bottom one because the bottom one does not let out any pressure until it gets energized. The top one will let out pressure. So now I got to connect the air pressure. Okay, so this is the air compressor I have. Let me plug it in. It has a regulator, so this is your storage tank, and then this is your regulator. I'm gonna run it down to 30 psi, which isn't even really marked on the scale. So let me see where 30 would be. I think that's like more like 25, I guess. But we'll leave it there, 30. Okay, so I had some problems with the valve, so I stopped filming. But basically, I found out that the valve was stuck because this is a surplus valve. Finally got it loose. And then when I finally got it loose, I found out that you needed air pressure on both sides. So when I had the one side open, the valve wasn't shuttling back and forth properly. But right now, in this state, and you see I have the two different color hoses to make it easy. And that's how I'm going to wire the figure up so I know which side is stroke and which side retract. Right now, the orange hose is being pressurized with air, and it's pushing the cylinder out. And the blue hose is connected to exhaust, so there's absolutely no pressure in the blue hose. Now, when you energize the valve with 24 volts, it switches it, and it energizes the blue hose. So the blue hose is pressurized, it retracts the actuator, and the orange hose is connected to the exhaust, and it lets the air exhaust out. And that is how a basic double acting cylinder works. And this is at 25 psi, and look how violent it is. So that's why you need flow controls. But yeah, so now I'm going to crank up the pressure a little bit, and I'm only going to do that just to make sure that these don't fly off since this hose is a little bigger, but it seems to be holding good. I have absolutely no leaks, which is surprising. No leaks at the actuator. And yeah, so now I have a nice little test manifold to test out my actuators. Now I need to, for the 1/8 inch tubing, tomorrow off of Amazon, the right fitting, which is 1/8 inch NPT to 1/8 inch OD. These fittings right here are 1/8 inch NPT to 1/4 inch OD fittings. But I'm probably going to conclude the video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something if you didn't know anything about any of this stuff. And this is just a quick video of pretty much me putting that together. After this, that's when I'm going to start getting serious and start actually tearing down the figure and cleaning it and testing all the actuators and trying to, get rid of all this play. And I have more play right here I had to get rid of, but that'll be in future videos. But I thought this week I would just make a quick video showing how a basic double acting cylinder with the 4-way valve works. See ya.